Welcome from the Car HMi Detroit 2016. I'm Christina from we.CONECT and I'm really happy to be with Kip Dondlinger from Garmin International. Kip, welcome to the conference and thank you so much for your time to participate in the interview.
Sure.
Do you mind briefly introducing yourself and tell us a bit more about your professional background?
Sure. So I'm Kip Dondlinger and I lead the product management activity as well as user experience at Garmin for specifically for our Automotive OEM business. So we work with auto manufacturers and other tier ones to develop infotainment and a variety of other electronics for new cars and passenger vehicles.
Okay, and you presented the case study this morning on physical interactions and infotainment design. Tell us a bit more about that.
Sure. So we've been looking at ways to take the high-tech infotainment features as well as other basic vehicle functions that people like and use while they're driving the vehicle and make those more accessible and in more tactile interfaces. Garmin, like a lot of companies, has used touchscreens in infotainment design, and I think while touchscreens have a place, they aren't ideally suited for some of the things that drivers need to do while they're driving, whether that's working with the media player or placing a phone call, those types of things, and more tactile buttons and knobs allow people to do some of those things without having to take their eyes off the road as much and without having to think about what they're doing as much. And so we've been studying ways to do that and how we can apply that to future systems.
Okay, so if I understood you correctly, you went away from the innovative or more common HMI design, going back to more traditional.
Yeah, so we spent some time for inspiration looking back at the way controls were before automobiles came so high tech, with big, bulky knobs and levers and buttons that were really, very easy to use because you could find them easily without having to look down. You could feel your way to it. You could, in many cases, operate it without having to take your eyes off the road. So we've been trying to apply some of those same principles to more advanced features that typically are in touchscreens today, but we think could maybe are better suited in other types of more tactile controls.
Okay, and tell me more about the testing you actually did.
Yeah, so we have a driving simulator that is co-located right next to the user experience team, and so we put that design through a number of different participants that came into the driving simulator, and we asked them to do various tasks that are pretty common in the vehicle. And then we also had those same people at another point in time do the same things with a touchscreen-based system. In this case, we benchmarked against CarPlay. And what we showed is that it's a lot easier, fewer glances away from the road, less cognitive load to accomplish those basic tasks with a more tactile system than it is to do it with something that's touchscreen based.
Okay, and going away from the conference and talking a bit more about Car HMi in general, from your point of view or Garmin's point of view, what do you think would that potentially look like in 5 to 10 years? What do you think are the biggest trends or potentially challenges that have to be overcome?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest challenges that's talked about is what autonomous driving and more automated driving will do and how that will affect the HMI. But I think nearer term, there's a lot of challenges just with driver distraction still. And so we're putting a lot of focus into that. And I think that in that 5-year period that you talk about, it's going to be really coming up with more usable systems than what we have in the market today. I think everybody here is in violent agreement that what OEMs have today, and I think the OEMs themselves would admit this as well, are not very good from a driver distraction standpoint, from a usability standpoint. And so I hope we see a lot of initiatives that are similar to some of the types of things that I talked about earlier today at the conference with more tactile controls. And then longer term, when you start talking about 10 years, I think that's when we'll see more and more HMI challenges around how do we change the information that is being delivered and consumed by the driver when the car is in an autonomous mode. That may still be more than 10 years out, but we're going to have to start answering some of those questions. And how do we keep the driver alert to what's going on, so that if they have to take over again, how do we do that in a way that that they're ready and prepared to take control of the car again?
Yeah.
So that'll be a big challenge, and one that we look forward to tackling.
Good. Definitely exciting times ahead of us.
It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Yep, for sure.
Well, great. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for sharing your insights.
You're very welcome.
And I hope you enjoy the rest of the conference.
Thank you.